The man they call the future of the NBA, Victor Wembanyama, is now at the center of a terrifying situation that nobody saw coming. What looked like a brutal fall has turned into something far more serious behind the scenes. Reports are getting worse. The concern is growing across the league, and even legends like LeBron James have reacted to the situation, showing just how big this moment really is. From a historic playoff debut to uncertainty about his immediate future, everything has changed in a matter of hours. So let's break down exactly what happened, what we know about his condition, and why this moment could have massive implications for both the Spurs and the future of the NBA. Tuesday night in San Antonio was supposed to be a celebration. The 7 feet 4 inches center had just celebrated being awarded NBA Defensive Player of the Year honors during pre-game festivities. The trophy still warm in his hands. That award marked the first time anyone had been a unanimous winner, and Wembanyama was the youngest player to ever win the prestigious honor. The 22-year-old Frenchman earned all 100 first-place votes, while Oklahoma City Thunder's CET Holmgren finished with 76 second-place votes. The Frostbank Center was alive. The Spurs were the second seed in the Western Conference, and WBY 2 days earlier had put the league on notice with a performance for the ages. Then, with 857 remaining in the second quarter of Game 2 against the Portland Trail Blazers, everything changed. The injury occurred on a play where Wembanyama tried a spin move in the paint and was fouled by Drew Holiday. As he went to the ground, Wembanyama tried to pass the ball, and with that was unable to protect his head as he hit the court. He was not able to brace himself on the fall, and his jaw hit the court. For a man standing 7 feet and 4 in tall, the distance between standing upright and the ground is enormous. There is no soft landing from that height. There is no way to quietly absorb the impact when your jaw meets hardwood at full speed. Wembanyama took a minute to get up off the ground, holding his head and covering his eyes from the bright lights of the arena. Wembanyama remained on the court for about 30 seconds before rising to a seated position for about a minute and speaking to teammate Stephen Castle. The 7'4" Wembanyama sat underneath the basket as the team called a timeout, and Wemby chanced from the crowd-filled Frostbank Center. He eventually popped up and ran through the tunnel toward the locker room with head athletic trainer Will Sevening following. 18 agonizing minutes later, the announcement came. The team announced that Wembanyama has entered concussion protocol and will be out for the remainder of Game 2 against the Blazers. Stephen Castle, the young guard who had been right there when Wemby went down, spoke afterward. "I was just checking on him, making sure he was okay," Castle said. "Obviously, he ran off the floor, so that's a good sign. But here's the thing, it didn't feel like a good sign. Not for the 19,000 plus fans inside that arena. Not for the Spurs coaching staff, and certainly not for the millions watching at home, who had seen this 22-year-old phenom faceplant on live television during only his second playoff game ever." Shams Charania later confirmed that Wembanyama had been formally diagnosed with a concussion and would undergo further testing on Wednesday. The question on everyone's lips, when or if WBY would be back. To understand just how devastating this injury is for San Antonio, you have to understand what Wembanyama had been doing before that fall. You have to rewind just 48 hours. On Sunday night in Game 1 of the Spurs' first-round series against Portland, Victor Wembanyama scored 35 points, the most by a Spurs player making his postseason debut, while leading a 111-98 win over the Trailblazers. The performance was staggering in its completeness. Wembanyama's line, 35 points, on 13 for 21 shooting, including 5 for 6 on three-pointers, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 assist. He set a franchise record for most points in a playoff debut, passing Tim Duncan's 32. Think about that for a moment. Tim Duncan's 32-point debut in 1998 had stood as the San Antonio benchmark for 28 years. Wembanyama surpassed it with a 35-point performance that never felt forced. He didn't just beat the record, he obliterated it with surgical precision. He dropped 21 points in the first half, which set an NBA play-by-play record for the most points scored in the opening half of a playoff debut, and sent the Spurs into the locker room with a double-digit lead that broke the previous mark of 20 points, held by both Kyrie Irving and Brandon Jennings. And the manner in which he scored was breathtaking. He scored efficiently from every level. A 6-foot runner along the baseline, an off-the-dryaway corner 3, a step-back deep 3 over Robert Williams III, and a coast-to-coast dunk that brought the sellout crowd of 19,372 to its feet. He faced 8 different Portland defenders and scored against all of them. Against Donovan Clingan, he shot 4 of 6. Against Robert Williams III, he shot 2 of 5. The Spurs legends were watching from the stands when Wembanyama closed the game with a 14-point fourth quarter, as Spurs luminaries such as Duncan and Robinson looked on when the scoreboard flashed a shot of Duncan and Robinson seated side by side in the second half. The sellout crowd roared its loudest all night outside of game action. The symbolism was unmistakable. The past meeting the present, the old guard acknowledging the new. It was the first Spurs playoff game without Greg Popovich as coach since 1999, a span that covered 170 playoff victories in 5 NBA championships, and the Spurs' first playoff appearance and victory since 2019. San Antonio had endured a 6-year drought, the longest in modern franchise history, and Wembanyama was the reign. But then came Game 2, and in the span of one violent fall, all that momentum vanished. The French superstar played just 12 first-half minutes, finishing with 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 turnovers on 1 of 3 shooting. After he left, the Spurs fought valiantly. San Antonio responded with a gritty performance and led by as many as 14 in the third quarter. But Portland, smelling blood in the water, clawed back. Scoot Henderson went off to lead the Trailblazers over the Spurs in a 106-103 win. The Trailblazers eventually won the game 106-103 to even up the series at 1-1. The series was now tied, and Wemby was nowhere to be found. While Wembanyama was being examined in a San Antonio hospital, LeBron James was on the other side of the bracket, doing what he has done for 23 years, dominating playoff basketball. LeBron James delivered a vintage effort with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists to lead the Lakers over the Rockets 101-94, earning a 2-0 series lead. At 41 years old, in his 23rd NBA season, LeBron is still here, still producing, still carrying a franchise on his back. Even in his 23rd season, James is still going strong. 20.88 points, 7.1 assists, 6.1 rebounds, 51.2 field goal percentage. And yet, for all his longevity, even he has acknowledged that the future belongs to the tall Frenchman lying in a concussion protocol somewhere in South Texas. Just weeks ago, on the Mind the Game podcast, LeBron laid out a statement that sent shockwaves through the basketball community that I'm glad I won't be in the league when Wembanyama's prime arrives. I'm glad I can watch and do this and figure out what time my tea time is tomorrow, James said, coming from LeBron James, a man who has spent 2 decades being the best player alive. That admission was remarkable, and LeBron's inner circle echoed the sentiment. His longtime agent Rich Paul went even further on the Game Over podcast. Wemby will be the face of the league. I'm convinced he allows you to buy into his humility, while also bringing it every night on both ends of the floor. Paul said, he added, "We all love the Giants anyway. That's always been the NBA. As I watch him more and more, it's hard to not want to see this guy win." Now consider the weight of that endorsement. This is LeBron James's agent, the man who has built an empire around the greatest player of his generation, openly declaring that Victor Wembanyama is next. Not Luka Doncic, not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not Anthony Edwards, Wemby. The connection between James and Wembanyama has been building all season, but it's another generational superstar to whom Wemby was drawing comparisons. 20 years ago, LeBron James played in his first playoff game for the Cleveland. One moment, he looked unstoppable, gliding across the court like the future already belonged to him. The next, everything slowed down to a blur of lights, noise, and uncertainty. For Victor Wembanyama, the shift was instant. For LeBron James, it was familiar at the highest level. Greatness isn't just about dominance, it's about how quickly it can be threatened. One awkward landing, one misstep, and the foundation you've built starts to crack. That truth had always lingered in the background, even in lighter moments. During All-Star Weekend, when Wembanyama was jokingly asked if he'd get emotional when LeBron finally steps away from the game, he brushed it off with a calm "no," then admitted it would feel strange. It was subtle, but it said everything. One era quietly closing, another just beginning. Then reality hit fast. The league doesn't bend when it comes to head injuries. The NBA concussion protocol is unforgiving, built on caution instead of urgency. There are no shortcuts, no matter how big the stage is. Before a player can even think about returning, they must pass through strict phases: rest, light movement, controlled activity, each step cleared only when symptoms disappear completely. It's a process measured in patience, not pressure. And patience is something the San Antonio Spurs can't afford right now. With the series locked and momentum hanging in the balance, Game 3 approaches without certainty. Acting head coach Mitch Johnson didn't offer hope or doubt, just facts. The system decides, not the moment. Game 2 already showed what life looks like without him. Luke Cornett stepped in and gave everything he had, fighting for rebounds, putting points on the board, but effort alone couldn't replicate impact. Even Thiago Splitter admitted the shift was immediate. The rhythm changed. The energy dropped. Because players like Wembanyama don't have replacements, they leave voids. His season wasn't just impressive, it was overwhelming. Scoring, defending, creating, he touched every part of the game at an elite level. Losing that doesn't just hurt a team, it reshapes it. For San Antonio, the timing cuts even deeper. Years of rebuilding finally led them back to this stage. The playoffs weren't just a goal, they were a return. And at the center of it all was the player meant to carry them forward. Now, instead of leading the charge, he's sidelined, waiting on medical clearance, while everything he helped build hangs in the balance. The playoffs don't slow down for anyone. Opponents sense opportunity. Rising stars like Scoot Henderson aren't stepping back, they're stepping up. Every possession becomes heavier, every mistake louder. There's still hope, of course. If everything goes perfectly, no symptoms, no setbacks, he could return quickly. But perfection is a narrow path. And if things don't align, the absence stretches longer, turning a contender into a team simply trying to survive. Yet this moment is bigger than wins and losses. Wembanyama represents what comes next for the league, a new kind of player, a new kind of dominance. When he's off the floor, something feels missing. Not just for his team, but for the game itself. And maybe that's why LeBron understands it so clearly. He's lived through the fragility of greatness, felt the weight of expectations pause because the body demanded it. When he spoke about not wanting to face Wembanyama at his peak, it sounded like admiration, but underneath, there was truth. Players built like him carry brilliance and risk. Because when they fall, it's never just a fall, but it's a reminder that even the brightest futures can flicker in an instant. That no moment is guaranteed. That sometimes the hardest part of greatness isn't reaching it, it's holding on to it. Wembanyama will rise again. That much feels inevitable. The only uncertainty is when.